Hey guys, welcome back to Dad's Garage. As some of you keen viewers might have noticed, this is not the garage. I didn't redecorate and paint and put a bed out here. We are in the bedroom. I've got this glorious white wall up there with a clearly faded spot from a picture I just took down. Um, I am going to work on doing one of those accent walls that everybody's doing. You see on Pinterest and Instagram and everything, with the different boards up there, trying to make some geometric shapes. Um, Something just to make the bedroom not so white, because everything in here is white. Other than a few pictures we have up, it's pretty much white. Um, I do want to apologize. We've been on vacation. Kids have been down visiting. Took a cruise. Took a video of that, so that'll be up here at some point. So it's been about a month since you've seen this mug on the YouTubes here. So we'll get started. I'm all by myself, but I do have these. So I got to get this bed moved and these nightstand moves and stuff. The nightstands I can probably handle. The bed is just a bit much. I don't really feel like taking it apart just to move it. So I got these furniture mover thingamabobbers here at the Walmart. That ended up being about $2 a piece, so $8 for the whole set of four. Ideally, we should just be able to slide these underneath the post of the bed and get it out of our way. So let me get set up and I'll show you that process and see how easy that works. All right, so here we go. Let's get these nightstands out of the way and shove them into the bathroom here, and then we'll get the bed moved. Everybody out there has cats that like to knock your stuff over in the middle of the night. Ours likes to knock the chargers and stuff off of the top of the thing here, so I just got one of these cheap extension cords and everything's plugged in inside. Certainly was a huge success, and you get to sleep through the night because the cat doesn't wake you up. All right, for now, what should be the easy part, these just go right under here. I just sit at the desk and push buttons. So we'll see how easy this actually works. Not easy. Bed's still too heavy to move. Maybe it would work better if the bed was quality. This is cheap Ashley furniture stuff. Those particle board and whatnot. We'll have to revisit this and see how this actually does work. All right, well, that was embarrassing. Never used those things before. I've always just taken things apart and moved them myself. But I was able to get that moved. I found if I got down really low and pushed, then it kind of worked and I got out of my way. The next step, well, I did vacuum the floor to get all the pet hair off, because if you've got pets, you know. And then I cleaned the baseboards up. I'm sure I'm going to be making a mess in here anyways, but I wanted all the pet hair and dust and dirt and stuff off, because behind the bed, no one ever gets to clean there. If you do, you're better than me. The first thing I want to do is I just want to find the studs. When I put all the different boards up, I want a few places to throw in some brad nails while the glue dries. So I think we're going to use the magnet trick and find them, because stud finders just don't seem to ever really work all that great for me. I've had lots of them over the years, and they're always like half an inch off. So we'll just get the magnet out and find the drywall screws, and that should be 100% accurate. All right, I got my magnet, got my pencil, got a level so we can draw some lines. So yeah, we'll just figure it out here, figure out where these studs might be, and go from there. Never really done this before, so we'll see how this actually works. Oh, there we go. Little mark there. In theory, there should be another one right there. Now we got a mark to go off of there. And then there we go. Should be one right there. We'll just use our level to draw a line up down the wall so that I know where to nail. And we'll guess somewhere in here. Right there. It looks like 16-ish inches. Find another one right there. And go on down. Well, shoot, that's pretty easy. Just knock this out real quick and I'll be back with the next step. All right, I got all my lines drew, found all the studs. I just drew a line on every other one. That should be plenty. Like I said, I'm going to use that construction adhesive to put the boards up there, but I just want a few brad nails to hold it while I get gluing. Next step is I think I'm going to trim the whole perimeter so that we have kind of a box built to go along with the baseboard. I'm going to have to do some cutting on the baseboard with one of those oscillating tools to make the trim fit the way I want it to fit. I'll bring you down here and show you what I'm talking about. This trim has a kind of a pattern or a bevel or something on top of it, whatever you want to call that. The boards that I got are square boards. They're 1.5 by 3/4 inch, so they'll be the same thickness as the trim, but I want them to sit flush. I don't want to have them sitting on here with this weird detent under it. So I'm going to trim out wherever a board is going to meet the baseboard with the oscillating tool, this top little part, so it sits down flush. I think that'll make it look a little bit better. So over here in the corner, we're going to have to cut here and here to make that fit down. I think I'll have to do that 5 different times, one on each end, and then I think I'm going to have 3 boards that come down at an angle and hit the baseboard. So it shouldn't be too terribly hard, but I'll go grab a piece of the wood, and then I'll show you how I'm going to cut that out in the corners, and then we'll get the corners put up and go from there. All right, I've been busy without you. I got some of the trim boards up. I did the top up there and then down the sides. It always surprises me when you work on a house and you build anything in a house, how crooked everything, how crooked the walls are, how crooked the ceiling is. Like if you look up top there, you can see there's giant gaps between the trim board and the ceiling. And I did my best to push the trim board up against the ceiling when I nailed it in there, but it's still really crooked. But we'll fill it all in a caulking and you'll never see it when it's done. So now we just gotta do the little pieces down at the bottom. Our ceilings are 9 feet tall, and the boards I got are like 8 foot and a couple inches. So I've got one board on each side, so it's down 8 foot, 8.5 feet or something like that. And I've got a 7-inch piece that I got to put at the bottom to kind of get all the way down to the trim. So I'll flip the camera around and then I'll show you what I was talking about earlier with how now I have to cut the baseboard so that I have a nice clean finish with the new trim I'm putting up, and the baseboard is already there. I didn't want to replace the baseboard. I couldn't really find this same trim in 4 inches that was a reasonable price or in the right amount of length where I wouldn't have to buy 2 giant boards. They only sold it in 16-foot lengths, and this wall's 13 feet long, so I didn't want to buy 2 giant boards for an extra 2 feet. That seemed silly. Oh, I'm sorry, it was in 12-foot lengths, not 16-foot lengths. So I'd buy a whole 12 more feet to only need 1 more foot of that. So that seemed silly. All right, so here's what we're talking about. I've got to get this little bit cut out right here, just so the board will slide down perfectly all the way down there. So I'm gonna put a line on the side here where it needs to be cut out, and then right here where it needs to be cut out. And then we'll get in here with the oscillating tool and try to get that out. I hope this works the way I want it to. I think that I'll be able to cut these lines, but I might have to get a chisel to actually cut this off. I don't think this is going to fit in there. I don't have one of those really narrow bits. So I'll get at that, and then I'll show you what I got at the end and tell you how I had to go about doing it. All right, so I got that cut out of there. There's a little bit more of a gap on each side than I wanted. I didn't really account for the blade width when I cut it, and like I said, I'm not a carpenter. I'm not really professional. I just take my time and try to do the best I can to get the result I'm looking for. But we're going to put caulking around everything, so you'll never really know there's a gap there. But that's kind of what the look I'm going for. I figured that this trim I bought and the baseboard trim would be the same width, but it sticks out right here, maybe a 1/16 of an inch. So I may sand that down and kind of round it in so it looks good. We'll see. We'll see what it looks like when I get everything caulked and see how it goes from there. So we'll do the other side to match just like that, and then I'll start drawing my pattern on the wall that I want to follow to get the shapes I'm looking for. Back with you. All right, guys, this is what I came up with. I've got the trim all around the outside, cut into the bottom as good as I can possibly do. Probably gonna have to sand a few of the joints where the boards go together because these are 8-foot boards and obviously more than 8 feet. So we'll sand those and caulk them and make them nice and smooth. This is the pattern I come up with. I did a lot of looking around on Pinterest and Instagram and stuff. Because the shape of the wall, I can't get this middle joint centered really the way I like it without bringing this down, and then it throws off the spacing here. But I think there's enough distance between here and here that won't bother my eyeball. But OCD wise, I really did want these 3 joints to kind of come together so it looked cool. But because of the height of the wall and to get an even spacing to get 4 boards in there, there's just no way it was going to look right. I'm pretty happy with it. It is kid tested and wife approved. I put it up there, tape on the wall, and sent her a picture, and she approved of it. So now it's just cutting boards. It is kind of slow going because I want to get the joints really tight, and all my equipment is out in the garage, so it's one board at a time, back and forth. Yes, there's a cat here. He probably approves or doesn't approve. He only makes that noise, so I don't know. I'm gonna get started on some of the boards here, and I'll bring you back in and show you where I'm at when I get there. All right, guys, this is what I've got done so far. I'm about 5-ish hours into this project. It's a lot of work. I know people can do it in a minute because I saw it on the TikTok, but I think they're skipping steps or maybe got some help or something. I don't know if I'm gonna push on through and get the rest of these. At least these only are only 1 angle cut. All the rest of them have been 2 angles, and then a lot of trimming down on the baseboard to get them to fit in. It's a lot of work. It's looking pretty good. I got a few gaps to fill, but I have to caulk everything anyways before I paint, so not really a big deal. Let me bring you in and show you how the baseboards are looking here. So for the baseboards, even with the angle ones, I still cut them in. With this little lip right here, I think I'm just going to bring the sander in and kind of smooth this over to where it lines up flat because I just don't like the way it looks. This bottom part here will be covered by a good chunk of the bed anyway, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but I do want it to look nice. I mean, all this work into it, so I kind of want it to be the best I can do. But it's turned out pretty good. It really helped to have the grid of lines on the wall with the tape to know where to put everything, and then also so you can know where the studs are and get everything nailed up. The glue I'm using is supposed to be like instant grab glue, but it still does slide around a little bit for a second, so it does definitely help to get some nails in there. Overall, I'm pretty proud of it. When I get the other 4 boards up, I'll bring you back and we'll talk about the next steps. Sanding and caulking, everybody's going to love that. So probably won't videotape much of that. We'll just cut to the chase and then show you what it looks like right before I get ready to paint it. Back at this again. I stopped last night about 9 o'clock, so I put about 5.5 hours into it all. After my normal job today, I came in here and put the last 4 boards up, and then I sanded everything to make the joints nice and flush. Vacuumed it all up, and then I went by hand and then rounded over all of the edges so they're not sharp. These boards were primed, so they had kind of sharp edges, so I rounded those all off. So eventually we'll be able to dust this a little better. Down here at the bottom, I took the sander and kind of tapered this down to make it flush with the baseboard, so I think that'll make it look a little bit better. Now we got to spend probably an hour or more going through and caulking everything so we have good seams when we paint, and then filling all the few gaps. There's not very many. These angles here were kind of fussy to get lined up just straight, so I'll have to fill those gaps. But yeah, it's coming right along. Looks pretty good. Took forever to sand. I probably spent 2 hours hand sanding everything, but it was worth it. All right, guys, I've been working on this like crazy. Didn't really feel all that great the last couple of days. My wife and I do keto, and sometimes you just don't feel good. It makes you weak or whatever. But it does make me feel better. Most of the time I don't get all bloated and weird, so none of that matters, I guess. But I've got everything sanded, everything caulked. Caulking is my least favorite thing. It probably took me 4 hours. If anybody has the ability and skills, they could probably do it in less than an hour, but I don't have those. So I made a huge mess and cheated and a lot of cleanup, but I got it done. I'll show you what I did and how I did it, just so you can see and laugh at me and make fun of me. Let me show you what I got going on here. So for all of these interior boards, I just did my best to put an even bead of caulking along here, and then I came in with one of these caulking tools with the different corners and just profiled it and wiped off the excess and kept going the whole way. That was the easiest way for me to do it, to get a good consistent kind of line. Some of these angles that are really sharp, I can't get in there, so there is some spots that just aren't caulked, but I don't think it's going to matter because by the time I paint it, you'll never really see it. I'm going to go with a darker color, which will cover up a lot of the flaws if they do decide to show on through. Along the wall here, because walls are inherently not flat, I did a different trick that I saw. It kind of helps push the caulking down in those cracks that are exposed and fill that up, and that leaves you with a nice smooth bead behind if you just follow it along. If you get down to where you can see underneath here as you're doing that, it's really easy to control how much caulking you're putting out. If I had tried that earlier, I probably would have done on the whole thing and it would have been faster for me, and maybe that's how you professionals do it, but I didn't know. I've only ever done caulking for like touch-up work or around the sink or something like that, just to make it look better. So I've never really done something this big, but that's what worked for me. I got it done. I'm not as afraid of it now, but it works. I'm sure as the caulking dries, especially around the edges, it's going to suck back in those cracks. I'll have to go over it again and kind of keep filling it up until it's done. But for now, that's all I can do. I've got to let this dry. It says 30 minutes, but it's still soft after 30 minutes. So I'm probably going to wait till tomorrow to paint this and do that, because I definitely don't want to paint it and have the caulk shrink and then have it look all weird. All right, guys, we did it. This is it. It's the end of it. Took me about a total of 5 days, because like I said, I work 50, 60 hours a week. So I only worked a couple hours a day on it. I think that you probably could do it in a weekend if you had a whole weekend dedicated to doing it. Overall, it's cost me about $170, which is still a lot for some sticks and some paint, but it turned out great. I think it really adds something in the room. It definitely makes it a little warmer in here. I'm sorry, I got some hair on my eyeball or something. I just had to paint it by hand. It took me about 3 hours last night to paint it. It takes a long time to get around all the trim before you can start rolling in the big parts, but it turned out great, so I'm happy with it. Hope you guys like it. Hope you guys learned something, or at least gave you the motivation to try something on your own. And then, as usual, I'll just leave you with something ridiculous. Why were the Dark Ages so dark? Because of all the nights. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment if you got anything to say. I'll be happy to take any feedback that's available. Thanks.